VitalHoops is for the culture.
Peace, everybody. Welcome to the Vital Hoops Podcast. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB. I am your host. This is episode number 32. And today we're going to get into Afro Veganism. And then after that, I want to talk a little bit about, still the NBA playoffs, the Basketball Africa League, which just ended, the Euro League, Victor Wembanyama. We'll talk a little bit about Carmelo Anthony's retirement. And we'll just talk a little bit about basketball. Okay, but first, Afro Vegan. Now, this is the term I used to describe myself. I am an Afro Vegan. I don't mind using other terms. I don't mind saying I'm, a vegan, saying I'm plant-based. I use that as well. You know what I mean? I use various terms, but the one that really fits perfectly for me is Afro Vegan. On episode 28 of the Vital Hoops Podcast, it's about the plants, featuring Justin Strickland. We spoke all about veganism. You know what I mean? We gave out definitions. We spoke about different types of vegans, reasons why people go vegan. So please, if you haven't yet, check that episode out, episode 28 of the Vital Hoops Podcast. But real quickly, generally speaking, people go vegan for 3 reasons. Okay? People go vegan for the environment, they go vegan for the animals, and or they go vegan for their health. Veganism is, as opposed to plant-based, when you're plant-based, you simply do not eat any animal products. Okay? And when you're vegan, you take it a step further, which means not only do you not eat those products, but you do not wear them on your skin, for example. You do not try to purchase them at all. You don't wear leather. You don't use other maybe soaps or perfumes that may use certain animal products, or you try to stay away from all types of animal testing and everything. So yeah, as far as being Afro Vegan, there isn't an actual authentic, quote unquote, authentic definition to what being Afro Vegan is, but there are several definitions. Many people have kind of defined it in their own way. To me, Afro Veganism is still about all things vegan, just the same. But the difference is that it is inspired by African people and or people of African descent, right? So the term vegan was coined by an Englishman in 1944, but this was not the beginning of veganism, right? Veganism existed way before then. I'll give you a main example, and one of my main influences, the Rastafari movement, right? So the Rastafari movement is from the 1930s, right? And their diet is they name it Aita, right? They eat Aita livity, right? So it's basically a plant-based diet. It's a 100% plant-based diet, but they take it one step further, and they do not eat processed foods or foods that have been chemically modified. So it is really about eating what comes from the ground, eating what feeds your soul, right? And it is also very much so about respecting nature and respecting other beings that live on the planet with the rest of us, right? So it is very much linked to veganism. Another prime example is the Kemetic diet, right? We're talking about ancient Egypt. We're talking about the beginning of civilization, and their diet has been traced back, and it is as well a plant-based diet. No processed foods, obviously, all plants, mainly raw as well, mainly a raw diet. So definitely the Kemetic diet is also a vegan diet. Another thing that is very interesting, right? And in my case, it is that West African food. I myself, being Afro-Cuban, being of West African descent, we understand that before slavery and colonization, our ancestors in West Africa ate mainly plant-based foods as well. And the concept of capturing animals, the concept of keeping animals in cage, that did not exist. This is something that the Europeans brought, right? Mainly our ancestors lived in sync with nature, right? They didn't trap animals like that and keep them in cages. So when they did eat animals, certain ancestors, or once in a while it did happen, first of all, it was done obviously in a very different way than today's modern way, in which, we go to the supermarket and most of us, especially in the quote unquote first world, have all types of options, and we still choose to eat animal products and processed foods which contain animal products in as well, knowing how these animals have been raised and what they have been injected with, and how they have lived their life, if we can call that living life, up until the point that they have been slaughtered for our consumption. So very different. So yeah, Afro veganism is about decolonizing our food, and it's also about protesting a life of consumption here in the West. A life of constantly consuming and consuming death, and these systems of oppression that are constantly commercializing everything. And if we can avoid any type of oppression, I mean, I say we, in this case, if I can avoid any type of oppression, then I will, and this is part of this thing called veganism and Afro veganism, because like I said, I have been influenced by my African ancestors, as well as certain African personalities and the Rastafari movement, which influenced me as well, mainly through my brothers first. So, when I say Afro veganism, I'm referring to Dr. Sebi, Dr. Layla Africa, Iris Latam, Dick Gregory, Angela Davis, Coretta Scott King, right? Certain artists, Maccabi, KRS-One, the RZA, the Jizza, Erica Badu, Dead Prez, you know what I mean? Certain athletes, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, Colin Kaepernick, you know what I mean? And the list goes on. So please, if you have any questions or comments on this, on Afro veganism, please go ahead. You can always leave a comment, or you can write us at VitalHoopsPodcast@gmail.com. I would love to, address any specific questions, but, we will be constantly talking about this, as, the Afro vegan lifestyle, or holistic plant-based lifestyle, it is a part of who I am, and it is a part of what this podcast is about as well. So we will continue this conversation. Now, let's talk basketball. So for most of us, the season is over, whether you play high school, college, whether you're amateur or professional, unless you're in the NBA finals now, actually finals by the time this podcast drops, then the season is over. Or unless you're in the WNBA and the season has just started. But pretty much it is summertime, and it's time to work on your game, right? I want to give all hoopers, especially young hoopers, a couple of important things to think about when you're working on your game in the summer or off season, right? First of all, as I said before, if you listen to the Vital Hoops podcast, I am still playing ball at a competitive level, somewhat competitive level. And we had an average season this year. I got a couple of years left in me. Hopefully next year, we're looking to move up a level, have a good season, and move up a level. I will be working on my game this summer. And this is why I say that, all basketball players have to be specific when working on your game. Okay. And this is a mistake that many young players make. I know, because I made the same mistake when I was a youth, right? When I was younger. Summer will come around and we just be like, yeah, I'm going to work on my game. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to work on my game. I'm going to get better. But really, we need to be more specific than that. Okay, when summer comes around, we need to be watching film from the season, right? And we need to know, we need to speak to our coaches, we need to watch film, and we need to know and understand what specifically we need to work on in order to get better individually and in order to make our team better, right? So be very specific with that, and do not pick 5, 6, 7 things to work on. Pick 2 or 3, pick 1 or 2 if you can, 2 or 3 if you need to, and really work on these things. Also, I do advise players to just play as well. I feel like that's important. Just play ball, just play street ball. If you're really young, go out to a court, to a park, and hoop. You know what I mean? Play open gyms, whatever. Do that. But also work on your game. Work on specific things that'll get you better for next season. And yeah, that's it. That's just my little pointer. You know what I mean? Be very specific with it. Be detailed. Talk to your coaches about it, and get to work, man. Really get to work. Remember to work at game speed always. Work at game speed, and be efficient with your time. Okay, be efficient with your time, and make sure you don't get hurt during the summer. Right? Hoop, have fun, but do not get hurt. All right, take care of your body. Now let's talk NBA, man. So the NBA Finals begin tonight, June 1st, Thursday, June 1st. I believe that the Denver Nuggets will be champions this year. I believe they will beat either team in 5 games. I just think the Nuggets are that good. I think they're a very complete team. They have everything. You know what I mean? They have shooters. They have guys that can create. They have guys that play defense, great role players that can play D, that can lock up. They have strength. They have size. They have heart. And now they do have experience, not so much finals experience, but they do have playoff experience. They've been at it for a while. They've built their core. They're confident together. I just think it's their year. They're very good. They're a very good ball team. So, yeah, that's that for the NBA. I'm calling Nuggets in 5. So the Euro League is over as well. I was rooting for the Monaco squad. Mike James, unfortunately, they lost in the semifinals. And Real Madrid ended up winning the whole thing. The Basketball Africa League just ended as well. Al Ahly from Egypt is the 2023 ball champs. They beat the AS Douanes from Senegal in the final in the championship game. I saw the game. It was a good game, but the Egyptian team pretty much kind of dominated the Senegalese team throughout the game. It was a fairly close game, but you could feel that they kind of had it. They kind of had the upper hand. They were a little bit better, and that they were going to win. You could kind of feel it throughout the whole game. Nouni Omot won the MVP. Congrats to him. Congrats to the young brother. I believe he's from South Sudan. Yeah, very good player. And I enjoy watching some of the Basketball Africa League games this year as well. So that's that. I believe the big 3 will begin soon, 3-on-3. And also the WNBA started. And has been excited so far. I enjoy the WNBA as well. Some stacked teams this year, so it should be interesting and entertaining. We'll see. I'll be checking out some games and breaking it down a little later on during the season. So the San Antonio Spurs got the number 1 pick for this year, and obviously they will pick Victor Wembanyama. Greg Popovich is going to be in action coaching the young boy. He's really something, man. He's very tall, and he really does play like a guard for his height. It's crazy to see. I hear rumors that Tim Duncan is coming back to work with him, player development. It'll be crazy. He can turn into something crazy. But I do believe at the beginning, I don't expect him to come out from the beginning and just murder in the NBA. I do not expect that. I think he's gonna have to, get a little bit stronger, get used to the game over there a little bit. But I do think he'll be very good. I think he'll be very good if he's able to stay away from injury and be mentally strong and, get better, constantly get better, which I think he will. And I think he could be something special. I don't expect him to dominate from the beginning though, but I might be wrong. we'll have to wait and see. Now, I want to talk about this. Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony has just officially retired. I'm a Melo guy, most of you know I'm a New York Knicks fan. Melo was a Knick for many years. He held it down in New York. And he's just a great player that I admire, you know what I'm saying? He's also about my age. So all of those dudes, their careers is coming to an end. It's pretty much just LeBron and CP3 left now. But Carmelo Anthony is a crazy player, amazing career. I hope his number gets retired in New York soon, man. Number 7 needs to go up in the rafters at the Madison Square Garden. Top 10 greatest scorer in the NBA. Very few players can say that, obviously. And just a great player all around. His son is playing now, and he's very proud of that. He voiced that in his retirement video. So we wish him luck. You know what I mean? We wish his son luck. Hopefully he does well. But yeah, there is one thing I want to mention is that, Melo should have been able to retire playing. He should have had a little retirement tour or whatever. Someone should have signed him. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's disrespectful as a player that has done so much for the NBA and so much for the game of basketball. You know what I mean? I think he went out kind of like AI. You know what I mean? Iverson should have been signed as well. He should have been on the team. That was horrible what they did to AI, another one of my guys. But also there's other vets out there that haven't been able to be signed. Jamal Crawford, amazing player. He should have been somewhere. Right now you got little Isaiah Thomas, who's been, every time he gets a contract, he goes back into the league. He be killing. Then his contract is up. Nobody wants to sign him. So, the NBA has been doing that as of lately, with vets. They don't want vets for some reason. You know what I'm saying? They're focusing on younger players. Oh, that is cute. But I feel like the younger players still need vets in the locker room. You still need veteran players. Good veteran players are important to having a great team. You know what I mean? So I hope the NBA changes that a little bit. And, we see some vets up in these squads, mentoring the youth, and also finishing up their careers with dignity the way they deserve to finish up their careers. Just a little thing I wanted to touch on. Now, before my book recommendation, those of you who listen to the Vital Hoops podcast know I sometimes talk a little bit about music and all that. And I have been mentioning, as of lately, Seun Kuti, son of the legendary Pan-Africanist icon Fela Kuti. Seun is one of my favorite artists right now. And he's also a Pan-Africanist, and he's very involved politically with his movement of the people out in Nigeria. And recently, he was arrested. Police threw him in jail. He was in his car with his family, and a police car hit him, right? And the officer was under the influence, hit Seun's car. Seun Kuti came out. Obviously, he was mad. He was in a car with his family, and it could have been dangerous. He was mad. Something went down. I don't know if he put hands on the officer or whatever, but it was somewhat of an altercation, and so they locked him up. Obviously, I believe there's more to it than that. What do I mean by that? That he's politically active. You know what I mean? He's doing work for the people, and authorities never like that. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, thankfully he got out. I don't know what's the follow-up to everything. I encourage you to check out what's going on with that with Seun Kuti. And I definitely encourage you to check out his music, man. Amazing artist. So if he comes near you, definitely should go check him out. I'm looking forward to going to check him out as soon as he comes perform near where I'm at. But this political prisoner situation is very difficult. As some of you know, I am Afro-Cuban, and when I was in Cuba, working with certain anti-racist groups, that I work with, we went through a lot of adversity, and a lot of brothers that I personally know are in prison today for speaking up, for not being aligned with the government, and they're locked up, they're in prison. And these are not American agents, you know, they don't work for the American government, nothing like that. They're tired, you know, they want a better life for themselves. And, you know, they speak up. And, you know, in many countries, you can't speak up, you know, and not only that, in places still like the United States, you have many political prisoners, you know, people that have been in the struggle, people that have been brothers and sisters that have been fighting for us, you know, for our people that are still locked up. So I believe it's important when we say free them all, it's really free them all, you know, not just free political prisoners in this place or in that place, but there should be no political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? And there are too many around the world, across the world. And this is it's tough. It's very tough. It's very difficult. And it's a real situation. It's not a joke. It's nothing to play with. So, you know, free them all, salute to all political prisoners. And the struggle continues. So my book recommendation today is The Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon, an extremely important book and very deep book. So this is a book that definitely should be read more than once. It's about colonization, basically. And, you know, I think it's very important for all of us. This is why I do this little section of book recommendation. It's very important, especially as people of African descent, to read and to know and to learn about our history and who we truly are. Because this type of information won't be out there. You know what I'm saying? It's not given to us by schools. It's not given to us by any type of programs that are tied to whatever government of whatever country we live in, really. This is the type of information that, you know, the type of political education that's only in independent organizations. And it's important for us to learn these things. And because there are certain mistakes that our ancestors made that we do not want to make, you know what I mean, in order to keep going. And there's also certain things that our ancestors did right that we want to keep on doing. And we need to learn about these things. And we need to, you know, get away from all type of oppression. And we need to keep on fighting towards liberation. So, yeah, episode number 32. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for listening to and or watching the Vital Hoops podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. That's the way you can support us. So please do. We are 100% independent over here at Vital Hoops. And check us out, VitalHoops.net, at Vital Hoops Podcast on IG, at Vital Hoops Pod on Twitter, if that's what you use. You can write us also. Like I said, we love to get any feedback or, you know, anything that you think or that you would like to have us here at the Vital Hoops Podcast elaborate on. Hit us up, VitalHoopsPodcast@gmail.com. I appreciate you. Vital Hoops is for the culture. Peace.